Hey everyone, I'm Jared.
And I'm Chantel.
And welcome to episode 2 of the Poured Out podcast. Today we're talking about simplifying and some other stuff too. It's probably about there.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, we want to say thank you to everyone that's decided to tune in to episode 2, especially if you've listened to episode 1. Especially thank you for continuing to listen to us ramble and me fumble over words. We really appreciate everyone that's subscribed already and listened to us and is joining us on this journey to we're not sure where.
Yeah. Those on YouTube and on the different podcast platforms. I think we're like most-ish places now.
Yeah, we're on Spotify. We're on whatever Apple's podcast thing is.
Apple Podcasts
Apple
or something,
sure,
maybe? I don't know.
Sounds right. iCasts. It's all their stuff.
Right.
Something.
Apple.
I don't use Apple devices. Don't stop subscribing just because of that.
No, we lost half the people.
True. Shoot. Well, if you're still here, thanks for subscribing, for joining, listening. Yeah, we are on like Spotify and most podcast platforms and obviously on YouTube. So, and thanks for the comments that you've been leaving. Appreciate it. Keep leaving the comments. Give us the feedback.
Yep.
Just love to hear it. All right. So we're going to talk about simplicity at some point. Simplifying.
Yes.
Simplicity.
I keep messing it up because I feel like...
Is it different?
It's slightly different.
Well, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. We're not getting into it yet.
No. What are we starting with? Because I forgot again.
Reading, listening, and watching.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to start?
Well, I'm actually not really reading anything.
You're always reading something.
I am. I think of it, for the podcast purposes, I think of it more as nonfiction. And I have 2 nonfiction books that I want to start that I haven't started yet. Fiction-wise, I am reading something. I'm reading the first book in the Lady Astronaut series called The Calculating Stars. And I'm not sure. It's like alternate history. If a meteorite hit
right. You were telling me about
Washington, took out like all the top people. I don't know all the terminology for the Americans, but yeah, it's interesting. You've
got me interested in I like alternate history. I like history, and so alternate history is obviously pretty cool too.
Yeah, and it's 1952. Now it's jumped to 1956, so it's interesting so far.
I know there's like 2 other alternate history ones that you want me to read as well, I think. Or one, it's a series. Or
it's a series.
Duology.
Wolf by Wolf and Blood for Blood. Yeah, right. It's a duology. Yeah. Yes.
So, cool. I am not reading a whole lot right now either. I feel like the last week I haven't really been in reading mode.
Yeah.
I have been reading, but not nearly as much as the previous week. So I am reading. I started the 3rd book in the Wax and Wayne series.
Right, your Western fantasy.
Western, yeah. It's a continuation of Mistborn, but like, I don't know, several hundred years later. And so I'm not sure if you're familiar with Mistborn.
Brandon Sanderson.
Branderson Sanderson. My
from
kid
Scotland
calls it Branderson Sanderson. Calls him Branderson Sanderson.
Or sometimes Branderson.
Or sometimes just Branderson. And now apparently I do too. So thanks, Ephraim. Anyway, Brandon Sanderson. I think that's the first Sanderson series that I read was the Mistborn ones.
Probably, yeah. Yep.
So anyway, reading the 3rd book in this Western kind of continuation of the world.
I still don't understand the idea of a Western fantasy. It's
really interesting. It's very different than any other book that I've read because I don't think I've ever read a Western book. And it's definitely got, Western elements to it. It's not just, it's like the gunslingers and all that kind of thing, which is, it's not a book I've read before.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's been good. It's not his top tier work for sure, but I've enjoyed it. But I've only, like I said, I haven't read a lot this week, so I feel like I can read like a chapter and then I'm just, my brain isn't.
That's where I've been this week, and I think we'll talk about as to why right away, or shortly.
Yeah.
There's reasons.
And then I am still reading Adorning the Dark. I had hoped to finish it this past week, but again, it was just have been in lower capacity for reading this week. But I'm still really enjoying it. I'm a little over halfway through, probably maybe close to 3/4 the way through.
I'm really enjoying you reading it and like actually starting to highlight some things. I'm always like, what are you highlighting? Tell me again what that says and what parts are jumping out at you. And yeah, it's fun to watch people read books that you just read and really enjoyed.
Yeah, and there's different parts that I'm highlighting that stood out to me, that because I know you marked up
I have the tabs
in the book now what you have kind of jumped out at you, and there's like a lot of that stuff also jumped out at me, but then there's other stuff that
do you find when you see that I've tabbed something that you're like, oh, is this gonna, like, are you thinking about the fact that I've already tabbed it?
Oh, definitely.
Because Kindle, you can turn on popular highlights or turn off popular highlights, and I'm like, I don't want to know what other people like.
No,
I want to just make my judgments for myself.
Because you tab it, it's not specifically, there isn't like a sentence that's highlighted, so then I find myself like wondering, like, okay, which part of this,
and there's a reason, there's a way, there's a,
I know you have a whole system of tabs,
but they're even like in a particular spot, but I won't tell you until you're done the book.
They're also color coded.
Yes,
she color codes her tabs. She has a whole system of color coded.
I'm not ashamed
tabbing.
of it.
I'm not saying you should be. I'm just pointing out to whoever's listening that you have a page tabbing system.
Yes,
not judging, just saying that that's a thing. Yes. Anyway, so yeah, I do find when I don't remember your system, what all your colors mean, so I don't think that far into it, but I do think like, oh, what part, and sometimes it's obvious what part you highlighted because you probably told me that quote from the book already. But no, it's been really good. Really enjoying it. We'll finish it either this weekend or next week probably, and then I don't know if I'm going to jump into the God of the Garden right away, or...
So that's Andrew Peterson's other book that he wrote last year.
Yeah.
I'm waiting a little bit. I feel like Adorning the Dark needs to sit. Needs to needs
to percolate.
Well, it inspired me to do things that I haven't done yet, so I want to do those things first before reading his next book.
Fair enough. God of the Garden, I don't know how much it has to do with like... Gardening or like, that kind of thing. I feel like we're going into the season where we can't really do that here. So
no, our garden is dead.
Yeah.
Maybe it will make us want to build a stone wall.
Maybe.
Because he's got a really cool stone wall.
Maybe. I have a stack of other nonfiction to read as well, though, so I'm not sure. I'll probably wait on that one as well. Reading, watching, listening.
Reading, listening, watching. Reading, watching. We can do watching next. Sure. It doesn't roll off the tongue.
Let's do listening because that's probably a short one too, because I don't know if I've listened to... Oh, I did listen to the For the Church podcast, a few episodes. I had to drive in to work a few times this past week. Yeah, a few times in one day, and then one time when I'm actually supposed to. Was that this week? Or was that last week that I drove in?
I don't know.
Anyway, I listened to a couple episodes of the For the Church podcast, which is a podcast hosted primarily by Jared Wilson. Top tier name, first of all, so you got to listen to it.
That's probably why he's like one of your favorite authors.
Yeah, it's all based on the first name. He even spells it correctly, which is rare. Yeah, so I appreciate that. But no, he's a really good author. I really enjoy a lot of his books.
And I think you relate to his sense of humor.
Yes, he's a really funny guy. He's a great follow on Instagram. If you're looking for funny memes, go follow Jared C. Wilson on Instagram. It's a good account. It's lots of laughs.
Not Jared J. Clausen. He doesn't post very much.
No. Yeah.
Wait, is your initial in there?
I don't know.
Okay, well...
That's how often I'm on Instagram.
Don't even know your username.
I don't even know my username.
Okay.
I feel like it's probably not, but depends if...
I mean, I follow you. I don't even know.
Yeah. So there was a couple podcasts. One was on just raising children, all the aspects of that as a Christian, trying to disciple them as they grow up. It was really good. And then they had two, he and a co-host, which I can't remember his name, just a Scottish guy. One was worship leader pet peeves.
Oh, you didn't tell me about this one.
Yeah, it it was pretty good.
Did it check some boxes for you?
No, because I would never do anything that would be a pet peeve for anybody.
Oh, it's pet peeves. Oh, I thought it was
no, it's pet peeves they have of worship.
Oh, I thought it was like as a worship leader, these are pet peeves you have of like,
no, it was
the congregation.
It was their pet peeves.
So do you do these pet peeves?
So, no, I'm perfect.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. No, probably there might have been some. I don't remember all of them. I feel like it kind of eventually got to just, and they admitted they were just sounding like grumpy old men complaining about stuff. But then so I listened to that one, I think, on the way to work, and on the way back, it was preacher pet peeves.
Oh.
So
nice.
And they're both preachers, so I feel like they had to do that one because they were feeling bad about like ragging on worship leaders.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
It'd suck to be a worship leader in their church. That'd be awkward.
Well, they both travel around a lot and
So
like preach in other people's
So they've
churches
just,
a lot.
combined all the worship leaders. It's not like one specific worship
No,
leader.
I don't think they were like trying to like subtly or not so subtly point out flaws in their church.
Yep.
It was like an amalgamation of stuff they've seen online, and they visit a lot of churches preaching
I
at
didn't
different
think that
things
they were
and stuff like that.
picking on anyone in particular, but
No. But yeah, so I've listened to that. I think that's probably it as far as like podcasty stuff. Haven't listened to any audiobooks lately. So
music? Any new music?
New music, not really anything new. Trying to think. No.
Okay.
Same old music. Still enjoying the same old music. I don't know. I usually I don't add new music very frequently, I find. I enjoy.
You listen to the same album.
Yeah, like a few albums,
few.
and then they'll come up with a new album, and I'll, add that to the repertoire, but I'm not like constantly in search of new music. I find old music, or old, like, not like a lot of it's really old, but I enjoy music I'm familiar with, I guess. So, yeah, that's me.
Okay. Something I listened to this week was a Sally Clarkson podcast, and I can't even remember the title of the podcast. It was nothing to do with the podcast that actually stood out to me, but the fact that she was in Oxford, living in Oxford, while they did the proclamation for the king.
Oh, yeah.
And so apparently they were like in the town square or something, and there was like someone in a tower, and they were yelling like, "Long live the king." And it just like makes me think of Robin Hood, flashback to like medieval times. And it's just kind of cool that they still do that in England. Apparently they were doing that in all the different cities. And I can't imagine, like, usually here when you wake up one morning, you're like, oh, we got a new prime minister. Oh, it's that one? Like, we're like, I mean, I guess this isn't really, they have prime ministers as well.
Yeah, it's more of a ceremonial thing, I guess, but
it's
still really cool.
Yeah, and I know that not everyone's excited about it and all this stuff, but I don't know, I just feel like them banding together and being like, long live the king, that I would like to be a part of an experience like that, where people are like actually cheering for something that's not just a sports team.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen very often.
It does make me think of like new creation, right? And we have a king in Jesus, and everybody will be banded together and cheering. Not that they're going to be cheering because there's a new king, but like he'll remain the king, but we'll always be cheering, and so we'll always be like, I don't know, cheering together, I guess. Which is, I don't know, it's just kind of cool to think about everybody unified under the leader that everybody loves and is a good leader, and I don't know.
That's really cool. That's
what it made me think of when you because now anytime a leader comes into power, there's like, I feel like at least 50% of the people are pretty unhappy about it.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty cool to think of a time that will come when everybody's excited about who the king is. That's cool.
Yep. And then I have been listening to a song this week on repeat. I've listened to it before. It's not new, but just because of the season of life this week, it's Mine by Ellie Holcomb and her husband Drew. I feel like his voice took a while to like. I didn't really like it at first, but that song is powerful. It's about their kids. So that's really all I want to say about it for now.
Okay. Not familiar with.
I played it quite a bit at Christmas time last year.
Okay.
You probably heard it. His voice is very, I don't know. I feel like it has to grow on you. It's not, or maybe that was just me. Wasn't my favorite to begin with, but I really like the song, so therefore.
It grew on you?
It grew on me. Yeah. Yep.
Watching, we could probably do together because unless you've been watching anything else.
No. I actually, like, I haven't watched anything on my own time this week. Like YouTube, nothing, none.
Yeah. I feel like that's where I'm at too. I haven't really watched anything. We've started watching The Rings of Power together as a family.
With our kids.
I need to make my phone stop making noises.
You're popular. Yeah, we started Rings of Power, which I thought going into it was Lord of the Rings remade. Okay. Because I'm just here for the ride because you and Reika are the ones that love Tolkien and all the things. So I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. But I didn't do any research or know anything. So I was like, oh, okay, so this is not what I was expecting.
So it being not what you were expecting, what are your thoughts then?
Well, it's different than I was expecting. No, it's good. There's too many characters right now. Like, episodes are like an hour long and we can't even follow all the characters for that hour. So that's been hard, but I do really like some of the storylines and some of the characters. Some of them I kind of want to punch a little bit. Yeah.
And I don't know if that's deliberate or like if they want you to like these characters or because I think it's pretty unanimous even online. I've seen articles and stuff.
You look stuff up?
Well, no, because there's like, there's suggested articles and you can see from the title that people have similar thoughts about some of the characters that they're not really well loved at this point, but that might show some growth in the future. I don't know. It's hard to say what they're doing with it.
I don't really know if there's any minus Poppy. Is there any likable characters? And she's not even a main character. Like everyone just hates the world. There's a lot of that in the main characters right now.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I feel like it's mostly just the one that's always grumpy. But I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I didn't really have a lot of expectations. I know there's like a lot of hate online about it even before it came out because, it's first of all, it's Amazon. And so there's, and Tolkien very well loved, obviously. Yes. So people don't want his legacy kind of like trampled on, which I totally understand.
I think they're doing a good job with it. The cinematography is beautiful. Yeah. I haven't read a whole lot of his. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't have like that background, but.
Yeah, and I've read bits and pieces of that, and so I don't have like I don't have a good grasp on like all of that stuff that went on, but I do feel like it feels like Middle Earth or like they're building on something. Like I feel like it feels appropriate. It's been good so far. It's a little couple points have been like a little extra gruesome for us, and more so because we're watching it with our kids too. So
yeah, I was going to say though, like they're really, other than like some of the scenes are a little bit gruesome, there hasn't been anything else where I'm like, oh, I wish they weren't watching this with us. Like,
true,
they've kept it very good that way.
Yeah,
it's missing the comedic humor that some of the characters in Lord of the Rings brought to the movies.
Yeah,
and like a number of the characters, it's not just like they had one. There isn't any like chuckle moments. There was one in the episode we watched today, but it was so fast. It was over so fast. I was like, oh, I think that was maybe funny.
Yeah, and it's like an hour and 10-minute episode, and there's like one kind of like light moment, and the rest it was very intense.
Yeah,
it's very like there's always something bad happening, which you kind of have to have for an interesting story. There has to be tension and stuff, but yeah, it doesn't have as many of those like kind of just relax kind of moments as the three movies did. But anytime you compare it to those movies, I think you're just not gonna live up, in my opinion, because they're
well,
the
I
best
mean,
movies. So.
his books had humor too.
Yeah.
It's not like they just pulled that out for the movie.
No, that's true.
And I don't know about the Silmarillion, but I feel like just knowing that he had humor in his other books, there should be some inserted in this show.
Yeah. Well, I feel like even just some like lighter moments just to like ease the tension a little bit, because it goes from sometimes it's like one intense scene with one character and then you jump to like a different part of the world and there's an intense scene with this character and it's like,
even
just calm down a little
even the Harfoots, who I feel like should be the light characters, they're pretty. I'm very curious to see where that goes, because they're not what I would expect.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're not supposed to be the light characters, but who I feel like should be, because
they feel like they're supposed to be like the precursor to the Hobbits, right?
Yeah.
And they were kind of just a jovial, like, like parts with the Hobbits were generally pretty comedic, or not even comedic necessarily, but just lighter. Yeah. So I'm curious to see where they go with the story in general, but I've enjoyed it so far.
Yeah, me too.
It's been nice to even just to sit down with the kids and watch something together, because we haven't done that in I don't know how long.
Been a long time.
So.
Yep.
I just really hope that continues to be something that we can do together, and the content wise it remains something that we want to bring our kids into. Yeah
And I think that their plan had been to keep it as such, right?
Yeah, that's what they had said in different interviews about wanting it to be something that families could watch with their kids. I mean, obviously depends on how old your kids are and
what you
kind of thing.
Accept and allow and everything. Definitely some brutal scenes.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's definitely something we watch not in the evening.
Yeah, we watch it in the morning or early afternoon so that they have some time, because there's definitely some fighting and orcs and
scary looking things.
Yeah.
And then we did watch another episode of the John Mark Comer.
Yeah, Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
which is where this
we'll talk about
topic
that
comes from.
probably later then too. Okay, so that's reading, listening, watching.
Yeah.
Nailed it. First try.
Brilliant.
So it was a week where we didn't really read.
Or watch. Or listen.
Or really do a whole lot of anything. It was a challenging.
A brain heavy.
Emotionally heavy.
Burdensome week, I would say.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, we're done with that topic? No. So yesterday, 2 of our foster kids left us, went with birth family. Something we knew was supposed to be happening for a few months, but you always keep waiting for something to change, because we've done the song and dance with these particular children once before in this last year already. Yeah,
and the last few months have really been kind of just, they've been emotionally heavier just because of all the back and forth and uncertainty with these kids, and not like thinking that that's what the plan is, but never really being sure, because you never really know in these situations.
Even yesterday morning, I was like, am I going to get a phone call that I'm not bringing them in? Like, we're packing up all their stuff, and you don't really know until you're there if it's actually happening, I feel like.
Yeah, so the 2 that we've had for the majority of their lives, for 2+ years of ours.
Yep. Well, they're gone for now. Like, we did this, I don't know. We did this last, 6 months ago. A little bit. No, 9 months ago.
9 months ago.
And then they came back into care a few months later. So it's hard to say they're gone for good, because I don't know if I believe that, but they're gone for now.
Yeah.
And it's a better situation than it was a year ago, so more likely to be gone for good.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, you need to prepare for both possibilities, which I think is part of the difficulty. It makes it easier and harder, I guess, because you never know if they're going to be back.
Yeah.
Which is difficult because you don't it's hard not knowing how many kids you're going to have in a month from now,
Yeah.
or
even on Sunday,
a week from now. Like,
yeah, on Sunday I was telling people like we could have, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids by the time the next Sunday rolls around. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and for people that like to plan ahead or like kind of
Definitely
feel like we have control,
we're
even
a little
though we
bit more
don't.
type A.
Yeah, it's challenging. So it was a hard week. I mean, yeah, there's lots of emotions. I feel like they could sense things were happening.
Well, we were talking about it, at least with the older one this time. Last time, I feel bad, like he was blindsided, but he wouldn't have understood it.
Yeah.
And he was really getting it this time.
Yeah. More so, I don't know if really, like...
Okay, maybe not that.
He understood more.
He understood the
sure.
visit portion, whether or not the, like, long-termness of it.
Yeah.
But.
And so, I mean, that's hard, like, because, I mean, we're their family, because, we're who they've known, so that's really hard.
It's definitely been a lesson in trusting God, believing that he's actually in control and not just saying it.
Yeah. It's easy to say that when you feel like you actually
when you have
can control
yeah.
things, or have a say over decisions and things like this. Is like we have no say.
Yes, like lots of people have asked me like, oh, why don't you just adopt them? And it's like, well, they were not adoptable. Like they had birth family that was interested, and adoption was never, or it has not been an option for their lives at this point.
Yeah,
like,
that's not really how things work where we're at. Like, it's not how our social system works.
Yeah. And it does, like, I mean, adoption does happen from here, but...
Yeah, but it's never the priority. Like, it's very much a last resort almost for the way our system works. So, our job as foster parents is to take care of them. And the plan is always to reunite with family whenever that's at all possible.
Yeah.
And so now we just wait and pray and see what happens.
So we have one more foster kid in our home right now that is supposed to be leaving early next week, but we haven't heard any kind of confirmation. So once again, we have no idea how many kids we'll have come next Sunday.
Yeah. So I mean, that's where that's at. It's been draining emotionally for sure, and mentally. Like it's hard to. That's why we haven't really been able to read, or I find, at least, like I feel like my brain is just tired because it's just constantly going over all the scenarios and all the
things you have to do. Like, okay, so if I have to pack all these things, but if I don't have to pack, I got to do this, and then maybe this kid will move to this bedroom, and like
well, and even thinking like, okay, well, if they're gonna be gone, like what do we do 2 months from now, and but what if they come back, and then we got to adjust this. So if they're gone, we can do this. So if they're not, we have to do this. And
do we get a cat?
That has been a conversation piece again.
It's been asked many times.
I feel like that's a decision we can't make in our current
state of mind.
So otherwise we'd probably
don't worry, guys, we'll have a cat by next week.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I actually think maybe you want one more than I do.
I'm not sure.
Definitely Reika wants one more than we do.
Yeah. I like cats. I don't like the destruction of stuff that they seem to have incurred in our house when we've had a cat before.
Right now I don't feel like I have the capacity to care for another living thing. Just a little worn out. And I think we'll unpack like the whole fostering stuff down the road. I think if we tried right now, I would probably just like cry too much and we wouldn't get anywhere. So
well, and I think we need some time to process all of the different emotions and thoughts. I definitely think that's going to be something we will talk about at some point. I don't know how long it's going to take to get to that point where we can really feel like, I have a good grasp on like what I want to say about this. Yeah. So, because right now, it's just too all over the place for me. Yeah.
Like on the bright side, I feel like this time dropping them off, it didn't feel like the last time I had to do this. It felt wrong and heavy, and this time felt better. Like I feel like they're in a better place than they were last
Yeah.
time, and I feel like I can also trust God more, or I do trust God more. So there's benefits, I guess, this time around.
Yeah, there's definitely. And I don't know if this is just in my own brain, but this feels more permanent than the last time. Like last time, it just felt like surely this can't last. Just with the way things had been going with visits and all that kind of stuff, it was just like there's no way this lasts, and that was true. And this time doesn't really feel the same way as that. I agree with that though. But like, still, at the end of the day, anything can happen. We don't know. Yep. So that's where we're at there. That's why we haven't done a lot of reading and a lot of really much of anything. I feel like we were kind of just in survival mode for the last week. Yeah, it was kind of like zombie mode all week, I feel like. Yeah. All right. So simplify, not simplicity. Simplifying. Yeah. Because simplicity is more of a, like, it's a state. It feels a little bit more constant. Where simplifying. Oh, it's like the process of it involves like work, and it's like it's a continual thing. Okay, I think I understand what you mean. Yeah, it's like simplifying. The work of simplifying is ongoing. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I understand the difference now. I just made that up. I have no idea if it's true at all. But that's just how it feels in my mind. No, that's fair. I can get it's behind that. It's my truth. That's a joke. Thanks for clarifying. Yeah. You know, you're really good at making jokes when you have to That's clarify. A joke. Yeah. Please laugh now. Yeah. Yeah, so we watched another episode. Yeah, these things are like 10 minutes long, and then we can manage to get one in every 2 weeks. So yeah, it's pretty bad. Well, no, we watched. I mean, there's like 8 or so of them, and we only have one left. So okay, we're doing pretty good. Okay. The last week just was rough. Yeah. Anyway, we watched one, and I think it was called Simplifying. It might not have been. It was probably called Simplicity. No, I don't know. Yeah. Honestly, I don't remember a lot from it. Like, I remember the general ideas around it, but it sparked some good thoughts in my mind. So speaking of this idea of it being continual, I probably should have looked this up. He talked about a Bible verse. I think it was where he tells people to sell their possessions and give to the poor. Was it that one? It was the rich young ruler. Ruler? Yeah. So he tells him to sell his stuff and follow him then? Yes. If I'm remembering what you're talking about. And he said that, like, often when you hear this in sermons and stuff, it's like you sell everything you own, bam, you have nothing, and that's your state. But he said that I guess it would have been a Greek word that it's actually used, is one that's like a continual thing. Right. You are continually doing this, getting rid of possessions. I'm doing a very bad job of this. You just need to like watch the thing or read the book. Or read the book, yeah. But it kind of, I remember talking about that because you read that book where Jesus tells the guy to sell everything he has and to follow him. And the point there is that he loved his possessions more than he loved Jesus, right? The point isn't that we should sell all of our things. Like, sometimes, certainly there are things like that we should sell. Yeah. And like, certainly we should be generous. But the point of it wasn't everybody should sell all their things, because if everybody sells all their things and gives their money away, well, now you're poor. No, and need to be taken care of, right? So, but the idea is like it's where he was placing his affection on, right? And it was the affection was so much on the possessions and the things that he couldn't follow Jesus. And I think what we're called to do is to love Jesus with what we have. Yeah. And so that might mean getting rid of things and selling things. And it might just mean using what we have, like, inviting people into our home, or, lending out what we have to people that are in need and that kind of thing. Yep. But the idea around simplicity was, like, he talked more also just about the in the Western culture, how we're so used to just accumulating stuff, and that's kind of like our identity, or it's how our entire economy works, is just you always need to buy newer, more, better. And like you can see it in ads, right? Like I hate the ads that are like, you deserve this, and like you've earned this, and you can have it for like, 800 payments of $29 for the rest of your life or whatever. Yeah. But that's kind of what we're sold on, right? Like we're never told in like modern media or culture to be content with what we have. It's always just, you must acquire more, you must have something better or newer or fancier than what you currently have. Yeah. And so he was kind of just talking about how that has affected us. And
he didn't keep it with even just possessions. He's talking about like your time commitments, and he listed a few different things. Social obligations, which I guess is your time commitments, and it's something that I think about often when I look at our calendar. You go through seasons where it fills up so much, and then you don't have any wiggle room to do anything last minute to serve someone, or even thinking about this last season of fostering, I have felt like I've been so busy and my time has been so full that I haven't been able to help people in ways that I would maybe like to.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has the same amount of time, and I think some people probably have, like, people have different amount of capacity as far as like, social interaction for one thing, right? Like, I think people have a different amount of capacity in that area. Like, some people love to always be out, some people don't. But when you're it's kind of like being poured out, right? Like when your bucket is empty all the time, it's hard to be able to serve in those opportunities that kind of pop up. Not to say that you should just never do anything, so you're always ready to serve. But there's like a balance there somewhere, I guess.
And like with fostering, I saw that as like the way I was really serving. So trying to not like, get down on myself that I couldn't do these other things, but seeing it as the way that I was currently serving. Yeah. But it's definitely, you choose how you spend your time.
Yeah. And it's just, I mean, fostering, like as an example, it's a great way to serve, but it's not the only way to serve, right? Like, whether we continue on or not, like I feel like we're always going to be doing or want to be doing something for people, to love people. And there's all kinds of different opportunities, different ways to do that. Fostering was one that we're currently doing, but it does take away, I guess, in some ways from other opportunities, just because your time is now taken doing this one thing, right?
Yep. I feel like this was a really good time for us to watch this because, I don't know, society has this whole like spring cleaning mentality. And I find with our weather, the spring is when we want to go outside. That's when our house starts getting dirty because we're bringing in all the mud from outside. Maybe it's someone from like the southern states that started spring cleaning when they start going inside because it gets too hot. But for me, like fall cleaning is the time. So now I feel like I just want to go through all the things, get rid of all the things, clean all the things. And it was a really good time to listen to this session or watch this session, and kind of gave me that like extra boost to get going.
It's like a fall purging.
Yeah.
Like as far as possessions and stuff, I feel like that stuff accumulates so easily.
Yes.
And I do think in those difficult times, it's easy to just like do the whole retail therapy thing where it's just like, oh, I'm stressed, whatever, I'm gonna buy this, I don't know, whatever it is.
I'm definitely guilty of that. You could just insert the word books.
We have a lot of books.
And more books.
Yeah. But so it's easy to get into that. And I think that's one thing that you need to always be kind of thinking through, even those little purchases. are they really like? I really don't like Dollarama. I mean, I do like Dollarama for the dollar store. I don't know. Is there Dollarama everywhere?
Yeah, I think
Dollar
it's
Tree.
probably. Yes. I don't know.
Dollar store stuff. I really don't like it in so many ways because it's usually like you buy it and like 30 minutes later it's broken.
Some things, yep.
Like over the summer, there were several times where we went and we bought like little things for the kids and they were broken like immediately.
In the vehicle.
Like sometimes before we got home and it's like a 8-minute drive to the Dollarama.
That styrofoam airplane that my parents found that we've got more of because it's indestructible.
So it did break, but I fixed it.
Okay. Well, we got more.
Yeah. But I mean, so yeah, sometimes there's winners,
yes,
but in general, but it's so easy to go through there and just like, oh yeah, you'll throw that in the cart for the kids because it's $2 or $4 or whatever.
Yeah. And
then you leave and it's like $100 at Dollarama, and then you get home and half the stuff is broken,
or half the candy is eaten.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least candy. At least you enjoyed that.
Okay, so
right?
that part's okay. We can keep buying candy.
It's not. Don't dish the candy now. Dish the candy. Dish the candy.
Well, we could
dish
put it
the
in a
candy
dish.
out. Yes, but don't diss it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm
with
saying. You there.
But yeah, just those kind of things, and like you end up with all these toys in the house. Like we're realizing, or not realizing, we've known for a long time, but we haven't really been able to. I mean, we've had young kids, right?
Yes.
And so there's just toys everywhere. And often it's not even like a set of something. It's just like, broken pieces of this and broken pieces of that.
Yep.
And I get excited when I think about being able to clean some of that stuff up.
Yeah. Well, even when something breaks, sometimes I'm like, oh yes, I can throw it in the garbage now. Yeah. A conversation that we have had, like, and this isn't even just now that two foster kids have gone. We've talked about this a number of times in the last few years as our kids as Reka and Ephraim, not all our kids, as they're getting older, is the idea of like, should we downsize?
Yeah.
Which I feel like at our age with kids in the life stage that we have, generally people aren't thinking of that now. They start thinking of that when they're like empty nesters. Then we move into a condo or something.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good conversation to have or be thinking about, even if the answer is no, we're not ready yet, or now is not the time. I think it's something.
But it helps you think about like, what am I using this space for? Versus like always, because the natural tendency I think is usually to go the other way, where it's like, well, I need more space. Like I filled up this room with the junk that I bought at Dollarama. So now I need
half of it's broken.
So now I need to go. Yeah, you got to keep the broken stuff in case you can fix it. So now I need a bigger house to get
yes,
to fit all my stuff in, and I think that's like the general cultural norm is to always go that way and
put it in your garage, and then your vehicle has to be outside because you can't.
Oh, he put out stats in that video, and I can't remember what they were. It was ridiculous. Of like,
pretty much no one can park in their garages.
Yeah, and it was like American households. It was like way less than half can actually park in their garage.
We see it driving around town too. Yeah. It's like no one can fit their vehicle, at least not one of their vehicles, possibly not both of them.
To be fair, we now have one vehicle parked on the driveway.
Yes.
Hasn't been parked in the garage all summer.
Yes, because we just got 2 vehicles again.
Yeah.
But yes, we have a lot of.
The garage has like 15 different riding toys on it, I feel like.
Yeah,
maybe that's
but
an
not like ATVs and stuff
no,
like that.
like trikes.
Tricycles.
And bikes. Maybe not 15, but
scooters.
There's got to be like close to 10 at least. I don't know. Ephraim's got tons by himself.
I can think of 9 off the top of my head. So
yeah,
I'll probably. And we now only have 3 kids.
So I'm looking forward to winter because I can put those in the shed and then park the vehicle in the garage again. So
there you go.
But yeah, I mean, like, as far as like downsizing, it's something that we've talked about probably for the last 5 years almost.
Yeah, I would say that.
Just thinking about it, not like we were going to imminently do it, but just to be thinking about that as an option in the future. Like, I don't feel like we think we're going to be here for the rest of our lives in this house. Because I mean, even, you know, if we aren't fostering anymore, we only have 2 kids. We don't need this much space.
No, not at all. We can use it. We will use it. But
yeah, and I do feel like we've done a decent job of using it. I mean, throughout the years, you know, whether it's hosting things or even fostering, like we've made use of the space that we have. But at some point, I feel like we won't want to have this much space.
And the question is, like, is this the best use of our money? Right?
Yeah.
Like, if we forever want to continue to host huge groups, then maybe this is
maybe it is
forever.
Yeah.
But if we feel like maybe there's something else that we should put that money into, then maybe downsizing is better.
Yeah.
It's a continual
it's just evaluating,
like,
right? Like, and I think it's like you should evaluate that regularly and not just like big things like that, but even like the smaller purchases, like, because it is easy, maybe not even just Dollarama, but like anywhere, like it's easy to rack up a bill buying stuff and then realize like I didn't really need all of this stuff. But then you gotta like, evaluate constantly, like, is this the best use of the resources that I've been given?
Yep. That's pretty much what I got out of that episode as well.
So, I mean, I went through, like, years ago, minimalism was like a big thing, right?
Yeah.
And you were like, I would say like kind of on a minimalism kick, but not really.
Well, when we were adopting, I was selling stuff to help us raise money for it. Plus, we were moving. So it was like this combination of things. I was like, get rid of all the stuff. And then we moved to this house and it's like, oh, we don't have much and I like it.
Yeah.
Like, my brain felt better without so many things. But the idea of minimalism, it takes a lot of effort because you have to constantly be reevaluating, like, every single thing that comes into your house.
Yeah. I want to clarify, like, I don't think, because there's like minimalism, like we're talking about, and then there's like minimalism where it's like, I own 3 things and
yeah, we owned 4, so it was okay.
So
it wasn't that level. No,
don't
it wasn't like minimalism, but it was like
just the idea of not having a bunch of extra stuff.
Yeah, it was simpler and more minimalist than.
Because I think the idea of minimalism is like you
count your things and you don't go over that number.
Yeah, and that's where you're gonna get your joy from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like right? Was it that wasn't there like a thing on Netflix back in the day where it was
like, what brings you joy?
What brings you joy?
This is a book, The Magic Art of Tidying Up.
Was it not on Netflix? I thought there was like a thing.
Oh, I don't know. It started out as a book.
Okay, I don't know, but yeah, like I feel like that the whole idea was like, oh yeah, you're gonna feel content or fulfilled or whatever if you don't have stuff, and that's not what we're really talking about.
No,
it's more the idea of, do I need this? Like, is this a good use of my resources?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then like I guess the flip side, or like if you think that way, it's easier to be generous, I feel like, because you do end up with, or you can then end up with an abundance beyond what you think you need, because you're evaluating, like, do I actually need to buy this thing? And so when you do that, you end up with kind of, I guess, leftover that you thought you maybe didn't have, and you're actually able to be more generous towards others, I feel like.
Yeah. Because it's like, oh, do I need this $5 thing? Or is this the best use of my resources?
Yeah.
No? Okay, maybe I can give this $5 to someone else.
Yeah.
And you did that a few times and it adds up.
Yeah. And I think there's like, because you can take that to the extreme too. Yeah. And I can't remember what book it was in. Someone was talking about this. They were talking about someone that was kind of getting into that mindset of like, well, do I really need this? But then they were like, well, do I really need the cheeseburger for an extra 5 cents, or can I just do the hamburger? Because like, is that like too extravagant to get the cheeseburger instead of the hamburger? And so like you can take things to the extreme.
If it's taking up that much of your brain space, then it's too extreme.
Well, like, and we've been given resources by God. He's blessed everyone in different ways. And
I think he would allow us the cheese.
we're not, I don't think he's wants us to not enjoy the gifts that he's given, but it's not to focus so much on those gifts that they become the main thing.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, the process of evaluating, like, do I need this for my fulfillment or my satisfaction? I think that's a good question to ask. Or is this something that I'm seeking meaning or joy or whatever in this, actual physical object or experience or whatever.
Yep. We just always need to be analyzing our motives, but not analyzing it so much that it becomes the thing that we're
you want to I mean, God loves to give good gifts, right? Like he's the father that loves to give his children good gifts, and so we should enjoy the things that he gives us as well, but at the same time always be mindful of where we're, like, are we enjoying the giver of the gifts or are we enjoying the gift itself? I guess
that's a good one. Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Any other thoughts on simplicity?
I don't think so. I think we hit all the things. Oh yeah, not simplicity. Simplify.
Oh, right. I
You
actually
did it
thought
wrong.
I said it right. I actually thought I said it right, but then
Here, you're feeling all proud.
Yeah, so proud.
Yeah, and that will be our next topic. No.
Pride.
Yeah.
And why? Yeah, no, we won't go there. All right. Well, thanks for joining us again today. If you have any comments, anything you'd like to hear us talk about, or topics or suggestions for top threes,
Yes,
whatever you have, leave those in the comments of the YouTube video. That's probably the best way to.
It's really the only place to do it.
It's the only place to kind of have that discussion right now.
If you want to interact with us, that's the way to do it. Yep.
Yeah. So just search for Poured Out on YouTube if that's not where you're listening. If you are on YouTube, there's also Spotify and all the other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to that way. But we really appreciate the comments and the support, those that have joined us already, and I guess we'll see you next week.
Bye.